to me, like I said in one of the meetings last week, they were all serious relationships, because me, every relationship was a potential. I saw him as a potential man. Not many relationships, but they were really intense. So if you really want to count them as marriage, I'll probably beat the woman
by the well. Who
But
had five
who
and
had
was
five,
with
was
number
about-
6?
Yeah.
Whose responsibility is it to teach our children? In fact, I think they deserve an Oscar.
No, they do. They do. They really do. They really do, because if they would have thrown me. They would have thrown me
They
out.
took baby number 1, they took baby number 2, and then they allow you to go back to uni,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
And did you learn anything?
Well, by baby number 2, yeah. my baby number
Thank
2,
God
yeah.
is all I
It's
can
like,
say.
okay, okay, you have got to stop sleeping with this man, because he ends up in pregnancy. You've got to stop, and then there's nobody to speak to, because I know of so many people that, probably got pregnant then and would have gone and done, different things. But it's like, how can I go and tell you? How can I go and tell you I'm pregnant when?
I need to ask for the benefit of people that's watching you and I right now. The possibility of an abortion, what was commonly known as DNC at the time, I think that's what Nigeria used to call it. Did the possibility of abortion, number 1, number 2, did it ever cross? I know you made an attempt to put a fridge or, pray it away, but if you've had money,
if I had money, I probably would have gone to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you thought about it.
Yeah, definitely.
But
if I had
thank
money,
God you didn't have the money.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got this too, because I have to really pause here and talk here, because the reason is my boss and I don't know what we were talking about, but we obviously got onto the topic. And from your own story, what you've said, marriage number 1 didn't produce any child, marriage number 2 did not produce any child. The only children that you have now were from those 2 pregnancy. Now imagine if you had aborted.
That doesn't mean I haven't done abortion, though.
I didn't say.
I know.
I didn't.
Yeah,
say
I
you
know
haven't.
exactly. Yeah.
But let's say you have done abortion, and let's say you've aborted these 2 as well.
Yeah.
And pregnant. Marriage number 1 didn't produce any child, and as desperate as you were in marriage number 2, it still didn't produce any child. What would you be saying to
marriage
yourself?
number 1.
Okay.
I got pregnant.
Okay.
But I had an abortion because I knew it was somebody I shouldn't be with.
You're joking.
I'm telling you.
You didn't give him the opportunity to. Did you tell him? Did you?
Yes. Actually left Nigeria with the pregnancy. I came here and I was so excited. But that was another immediately. One of that. Yeah, we're jumping here, isn't it?
I know.
I know.
Because
it's
I don't want us to miss it, because
Yeah.
there'll be people looking at you
Yeah, because
and thinking
with
that
marriage number 1, by this time I already had 2 children. So it's like, okay, I don't look the girly part to start with. You understand?
Okay,
That is already.
we know you're not innocent rookie.
You understand? I don't look the girly part. You understand? And now I've got 2 children who will want me. You understand? So, after my second child, I left. After my second child, like I said, my parents took the child and I went straight to school. And then I told my friend, go and tell him. And he was like, that's my child, even without seeing, you understand? Because he trusted me that much, you understand? So that's my child. And with that.
Did any of these fathers take none?
Well,
Did they take any active role in the life of these children? Well, because number 1, you never told us. You never told him before the baby came. After the baby came, did you tell him?
Yeah, they came with me in the hospital and it's like, that's my child, because again, I was a good girl. You probably hate me for saying that. You understand? So it wasn't like I was sleeping
around. It was just that one
It's only in 2 weeks or the last 3 weeks that God has had to sit me down and say, this is your good girl issue. Who's by whose standard are you a good girl? And the reason why I'm saying all of this is that, you know, a lot
There's
of
somebody
things,
watching.
there's somebody
saying,
watching. You understand? I'm a good girl. You understand? Maybe because you're only sleeping with one person. You understand? You have to think, okay, is it by society standard or by by what the Bible says and what.
So once Jesus they knew, they took active roles.
They tried. Because they were young, young guys as well. With
number 2.
So
you went back to uni.
Went back to uni.
You told him.
Change course totally. I was like, okay.
So now you had the boldness to change after.
Change. Okay. I said, okay, now I've got to sort this out. Rookie, you've got to sort it out. So I failed woefully.
Well, because you had the pregnancy going on.
Not even that. I would have still been able to pass, but I just like, it was that school, was studying was like, forget it, botany, I had no interest whatsoever. And then in school, then it was just, okay, boys, they'll come to your hostel in the evening, make up, and look pretty. That was the only thing, then I wasn't interested in the course. I wasn't interested in whatever. I was like, okay, this guy, I have to
ask you, all during this period, were you still going to church? Were you calling yourself a Christian?
On and off. And like I used to say to people, I say the churches of those days were the kind of ones where you sit in a sermon and they will preach. They will preach about fornication, and you will go home and you will be so... it's like you will hear and you are not comfortable. Like now, you understand, the people in the choir.
But then you're saying you weren't comfortable, but you still went home and.
So that's the case of, okay, don't do this, or sit down. And that's why I stress so much about a relationship with Jesus, because right now I live in a house on my own. I'm not with anybody. You understand? There's nothing any man will probably come and tell me. You understand? That will make me. You understand? Because I now know that I'm in a solid relationship with Jesus. I know what's right. I know what's wrong. That does not mean I don't have struggles. You understand? But
we all have struggles.
You understand? So now Jesus is my focus. Okay. Then whatever I was looking for from men.
Okay, we've gone from this BBB Coca-Cola upside down girl to baby number 1, baby number 2. Is this part of the desire to feel loved, feel wanted, not be the girl that was stigmatized or bullied, or is it from that, or was there something missing?
Well, there was so many different questions, and I'm just thinking, because really, when I think about it, it's like,
you just wanted to be the in girl like everybody else.
Not really in girl. I didn't really care about in girl. I just wanted to be you and my boyfriend. We sit together and love. You just wanted a boyfriend
and
love, because I was into.
What was your definition of love at the time?
Affection. I love you. I go die love.
I go die love. But was it because Daddy wasn't giving you affection?
I don't know. With now that I'm studying, I'm doing a lot more. I'm studying the Bible. There's a void.
There was a void.
Everybody's that only Jesus can fill.
Okay.
There's a void, and until you find that void, and that's why I always use the woman by the well. You understand? She kept on going through relationships upon relationships upon relationships, and there'll be different reasons why those relationships will not work out. A lot of people say she's a. Some people say she's a harlot. She did that. She couldn't. Never.
But she got married 5 times.
She got married 5 times. She couldn't have been a harlot. The men could have been leaving her because she couldn't have a child. Do you understand? There's so many reasons, but there's so many reasons. There's so many things that you would, and up till when the last 3 years, when I started really having a relationship with God, it was still on my agenda to have a child for my ex-husband, because that's what he wanted.
So it's always about
something.
It's always
giving them something, and then they will love me in return. And
because from what you said, your first experience, Daddy number 1.
So it's either
a girl would turn up. She was dressed more, fashionable than
husband,
you were.
Baby daddy number 2, the same thing. The day he broke up with me, he said he sat me down you know, I went to his house and there was a lady, and I have to be careful how I talk to her about him because he's dead. Now there was a lady I met there, and I was like, you know, when I got to the house, everybody was like at the door, she can't come in, Rookie can't come in. What is in the house that I can't come in? Finally, there was a lady there. I was boiling. I thought you said you had changed, you know, this, that. So he said,
He had changed. So you knew it had history.
Of course, yes. He told me that he's going to use me to show the whole school and the whole world that he could actually love a girl. Who wouldn't want to hear that? So it's like, okay, use me and show people that you have changed. Do you understand? So, and it's like, oh, for me, it's a trophy. Actually, this guy that is a playboy, everybody knows him because everybody, and I've said to people, his best song was Wherever I Lay My Hand.
That's my home.
That's my home. Which clue, you understand? But for me, it was like, I'm going to change him. He's going to be faithful because I am a good girl. But that's the card that he threw at me. He said, listen, when he came to after I found that he was with this girl, he's like, please, can you go home? You know, can you go home? I'll come back. That's when he said home, my hostel. Then I will come and explain to you. And decisions was like, okay, I could flare up and fight here. You understand? But that would not be in line with my good girl manner. You understand? So I will keep my calm and then go home. And I recited so many different things I was going to tell him off. I didn't expect what he was coming with. He came and said, listen, you are a good girl and I don't want to hurt you anymore. Yeah. That this other girl, I have no regard for her. And then everybody knew her in school then because she used to go out with all the sugar daddies and used to bring all her money to him. To him.
So for me, his meal ticket.
Yes, basically. Exactly. You understand? But for me, I was heartbroken. Everybody knew my best song then was Mariah Carey's song, Love Takes Time to Heal. And for me, you broke my heart because I am a good girl. I keep saying that. So
maybe I should be a bad girl.
Do you understand? You broke my heart. I've got a child with you. You understand? It's like I am a good girl, but that's working against me. Do you understand? Because I cannot give you
what she could offer.
Can you see how
in your head?
And I keep saying, a lot of people, you can ask me so many questions because you're trying to think logically, but don't forget that we also have an enemy who is the devil. Can you imagine the things
that will be going through
that
your
he
mind,
will be saying?
your brain?
You understand? Now when they say renew your mind, fight, you know, we pulled out. I didn't know what stronghold was then. You understand? I had no idea what stronghold is now that I'm actually saying. Do you understand? Actually, do you know what? You know, all those things that I was probably thinking about myself because someone commented on me the other day. I'm like, are you kidding? You know, the same shape that has, brought me and, seen me in this vicious circle is what you are now saying. Oh, I wish you do you understand? Is we fight a real devil.
We're fighting
a real devil, and the war they used to fight in Bible country those days was soldier kill soldier. You understand? Now
it's of the mind.
You understand? And you've got to get to that place where the word of God, even Jesus, when he started his ministry, the Satan came in different ways, and whichever way you look at it, you understand? And as a child, as a parent, those are the things you now have to start. I've got my little niece, she's just like me. When the mom starts talking, I say, listen, you've got two different children. You've got this, they're so different. Be very careful about the one that does not talk. You understand? She writes, she sings, because I used to have so many talents, you know. My daddy here said, you're blessed with so many talents, you wouldn't even know what to do with it. And like Joseph, and so many, there are so many children that devil sees already, right from the beginning and starts to fight. I've had 4 or 5 accidents right from when I was a child. And I write it in my book. There's so much, that God starts to tell me about myself. Right from when I was a child, the very first few months I went to Nigeria, I had the first accident. If I show you my legs, my bones actually broke.
Wow.
Into 2. God healed it. I spent 3 good. Then I was about 4. I spent 3 months in the hospital. Wow. Actually made a very small boyfriend then. 3 months after, when I was leaving the hospital, I was crying. I didn't want to leave
because of this.
The hospital, because my mom was working then, so all the nurses were so
looking after you.
I've had accidents upon accidents, fire, you name it, you understand? And right now I keep saying, if the devil cannot kill you, he has other means of trying to, you know, destroy you. And when I say I'm a child of destiny, I use it as a joke, you understand? God always fights your battle for you. If my parents had thrown me out of the house,
it would have been worse.
Who knows where I would have
been at the mercy,
you know, who knows where I would have landed. So while you may sit down and think of what kind of parents were there, you don't forget we also have a God, and we, you know, there are things we do that it's only later you start to understand, you know, that okay, this is, you understand, even though you did this and did that, I can't explain it. I'm sure my mom will probably not be able to explain.
Probably wouldn't, but
my dad would not be able to explain it then, you understand? But God has a way of hiding you like Moses, you know, inside, if it's not a basket or inside the enemy's camp. God, how does God walk? We do not.
So we've been through the first pregnancy, the second pregnancy. Daddy number 2 just told you because you're a good girl. Obviously, you're no longer what he needs. He needs to move on with this so-called other lady. So basically, you're in a mess at the moment.
I'm in a mess,
and you need to get yourself out. And I'm taking by this time you've changed your course.
I've changed my course.
You're doing the course you want to do.
I was like solid. Launched after school we had this group. Then I found you know that actually university study group. We used to go learn, you know. Then there was a strike, school strike. It lasted for a very long time, and that's when I spent a long time at home. By this time, my mom was in Saudi Arabia. And they were recruiting nurses. It was just me and my dad. My dad, even though I stayed at home.
And these 2 young babies.
Things were hard. So he, you know, all the frustration, you know, will boil up. So one day it's like, oh God, I can't deal with this anymore. So I took my daughter to her dad's house, took my son to his dad's house. Ugeli, traveled, my friend, and it's like.
Did you tell your dad?
No, my dad went out. I went out. I used to be able to go out.
So you took both of them?
Took them.
Did you take them to their prospective fathers on the same day?
Not on the same day. I took, you know, my son's father asked for them to come, you know, spend some time. You know, the parents,
with him.
You know, really good parents as well. You understand? Spend some time. So in my head, it was like, okay, stay there. And then one day, you know, I just flipped. My daughter, I was like, okay, go and spend the day
with your dad,
because they were closer, you know, his people, and that was it.
And they never came back.
I took my bag. I went to Lagos. Okay, right now I've got to sort my life out. You understand? Nobody's going to.
How old were you by this time?
I can't remember now.
Maybe 21, 22.
Oh, when did I leave Nigeria? I left Nigeria probably about 23, so probably about 21. You know, 21, 22. That age, I was like, you know what?
Uni was closed,
so I'm like,
you are baby free.
Baby free.
So you went to the capital, you went to Lagos. I was like, what was your mission in going to Lagos?
My Lagos, I'm going to make it for myself. I'm going to be I don't know. I'm going to be whether a big girl or whatever, you understand, but I'm going to be able to you understand? It was like, okay, first of all, I wanted to leave the country as at that time, you understand. Born abroad is like, okay, nothing is working for me. So my parents couldn't afford it then. My mom was working in Saudi Arabia. If I'd given her the time, she probably, but I was just like going to get somebody to buy my ticket and I'm out of there. Fix my life, you know, get my children. That was what in my head. But you know, God, God is so funny. You understand? And I don't know where I would have been now if I did not have my accident.
So you had an accident?
I had an accident.
On the way to Lagos?
No, in Lagos.
Okay.
You know, in Lagos, because I was gradually started, you know, maybe one man, you know, here I was. So my aim again is not to walk on the streets, but to get a rich man that will look after me, and I will do. And
this is good rookie. Good girl rookie.
Level of badness, it increases with.
And in your mind, you were still a good girl.
That's the thing. You understand? That's the thing. I wouldn't have. Now I would say, good girl with circumstances, because even with prostitutes that you find now, some of them have circumstances that they will, if they choose to, they would not be on the streets. You understand? And it will take at times it will take Jesus to go and wait by the well to say, you know, why are you doing this? Do you understand? Why are you doing this? Now I don't judge people like I used to judge.
Okay.
Before. You understand? Because a lot of things that I have been through, I never at one time thought I would, you know, experience a lot of that. But anyway,
you had this accident in Lagos.
I met this guy. That's my husband, you know,
husband
number one. But it was like, okay, so we were dating, but not really serious. So
so did you stay with friends in Lagos?
I stayed with friends.
Okay.
You know, I stayed with friends. I've got my friend. There's one that stays in London. So I had good friends with real strict parents. You know, so I've always had, you know, but we found our ways, you know, of doing things. And there was this guy I had just met, you know. He took me out a few times and everything. I slept over in his house a couple of times. And then one day I was on the streets of, you know, we're walking. I went to see my friend in Apapa and everything. And we're just like, school's closed. Let's just
have fun.
Just walk, you know, walk around the streets and everything. And we saw this pretty girl. Pretty girl, spotless, face wise, everything. So we was like, let's go to markets. If nature did not give us, we'll go and buy this thing. Want to look like, you know, pretty and everything. Then this guy that was with had just started teaching me driving. One lesson. Anyway, we went to the market, bought, you know, all the different cosmetics. Sat to in my friend's house and thought I could drive. Took her mom's car. Immediately I stepped on the pedal. Fence. You understand? It was like we hit the fence. I hit the fence. The whole front of the car was damaged. You know, so I was like, okay. So we said, okay, if we leave this car in front of the house, trouble. If the mom comes back from work to see it, so we might as well carry it to Padel Bita so that I start working on the car, so that by the time the mom comes, she will, you know, the madness won't be as bad. You understand? Down. So we all got together the remaining money we had
and took it
to this thing. So that evening, so that took a lot of my time. I didn't have money to get a taxi and everything, so I got on, you know, those not the mini molwe type buses, and I was just like,
it wasn't that what they call Danfo or something like that.
You understand? Yeah. So I got on. I remember I was wearing a white shirt, trousers, carry my bag, carry my cream and everything, and I was going. It was now late, you know. I was like, oh God, I was going to my sister. My sister was also in Lagos. I was going to her house. In fact, that time was wherever. If I'm in Apapa, then my friend's house that is in Apapa, that's where I will sleep. If I was if my sister, you know, Butemet, anywhere, you understand. But anyway, as I was going, it was late. The bus drivers were arguing, you know, when they're arguing about money, this, that. The next thing I just heard was boom. I'd gone. In my good girl and everything, there's always been that voice that is like, you know, I don't know whether it's, you know, I've always known that, whether I've known there's a calling. I really do not know. I said at that age, as far back when I was really early, I think in primary school, I took the Bible. I started writing. You know, I took the Bible, pen and paper, writing. What I was writing, I don't know then. You understand? As far back, you always know there's something God wants you to be doing. But at times, you know, you have to fight this battle, and God that works everything out for your good, He will still bring you back to that place. Anyway, the next thing I heard, my good girl is like, okay, God is speaking to me in one ear that you need to, you know, get your act together. But I was like, you know what, God, just before I die, I would, you know, like the cross, the thief by the cross, I would, because you still have that knowledge, you know. Then was when they used to preach about hell and heaven. You have the knowledge, but my plan was that just before I die, I will repent. Please God help me when I'm getting I will repent. The plan would have failed. It would have failed big time, because what I heard was boom, and I collapsed.
So there was no even opportunity. So if it was death, that was it.
That was it.
There was no opportunity to repent.
And I would be where my Satan would have said, come.
Into this awful mess.
Come. And again, I've been born again. I was born again.
How many times?
How many times? Every time you go and hear this thing, you understand? And that's why I keep telling people about this message about grace and everything. I don't know where I would have stood. Do you understand? I do not know where I would have stood. Every message I've got is my personal life. I do not know where I would have stood then if I had died.
Well, I think we have an idea.
Well, let's just say,
looking at the scriptures and what we know.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Exactly, because you have these people that have this school of thought that once saved, always saved. Always saved. I do not think I would have been able to go and stand in front of Jesus and say, well, you died, so that I'll continue doing what I would, so that you know your grace. I really personally do not think that. But anyway, I woke up. It was like, the first thing that came to my mind is like, oh my God, I'm already, in Lagos, then 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock is late. They're not to talk of when it's dark. It's like, I'm already late. So, I need to be at home. Then for 1 minute, I looked round. I've never seen so much dead body in my life.
Where did you wake up? Was it a hospital?
No, on the street, Oshodi Apapa Express.
Really? On the street?
I am telling you. When I said I heard boom,
dark.
When I said I heard boom, the Danfo ran into a stationary
car,
big moleway. And the cars in Nigeria, the buses and everything, they were not strong. So right from the middle, it split into two. So we're all on the floor. I said, on the floor. If you look at my face very clearly, I don't know whether you see one mark, the tribal, is it here?
Yes.
And this one.
Yes.
That was the only thing I got from the accident. I was one of the few people. I don't think we're up to 2 or 3 that survived the accident. I was just looking at it, and now I look at it and I said, this face that I was going to buy cream. So it was like somebody was saying, you are a witch. How can you survive this? I said, when I look, if you see blood all over my body.
And it wasn't yours.
It wasn't mine. Dead. That's not my first accident. That's not my first accident. You understand? I've had, this thing. I was like, God, okay, I really now start taking you.
So fear gripped you, basically. So you woke up.
I woke up. The first person.
It was dark.
It was
surrounded by all these dead bodies.
Yeah.
And nobody helping you.
Eventually they helped me. Help me. Okay, they put me in a taxi. Where do you want to go? I was like, okay, the only place I can go to that I know will help me now is this guy.
Wow.
I got,
because that was where you were going anyway.
No, I was going to my sister. But I know my sister wouldn't have had the money to look after me, so I went straight to this guy. I'd only met him a couple of, not too long, well, maybe probably about weeks. So I went and stayed, he took me he had one of this a pharmacy friend, a guy that owned the pharmacy. And as he was cleaning and treating me, he was like, if you see the accident that they just showed on news, that I don't think anybody
survived.
So I don't think anybody survived. When he finished, I said, that's the accident. He jumped. No. The next day, my sister passed there and went to work. She said, nobody will survive this accident. You understand? That was in the accident. So that was my clue. It's like, okay, God, this man, I will just sit down. I didn't leave his house again. He was like, if I go out and I'm looking like this, God will not allow me to look at anybody that's a man. He will say, you're doing I play.
Wow.
It was, control from the beginning. But I was glad to have a roof under
my head.